Good evening. Welcome to the Insiders. This week we're going to talk about the new scourge in the ocean, mid-length surfboards, which I personally love. On a side note, we're probably between myself and Matt on a slight Sunday night downer after last night's epic day one of Pipeline in maxing waves, which we will talk about later this week. Disclaimer, no one surfed a mid-length last night. Over to you, Matt.
Yeah, where was Mason on his 7.6, eh? Where was Mason?
Disclaimer, no people that are generally mid-length surfers like ourselves would have probably been out there anyway. So it's irrelevant.
Only a couple. So while we're on the note of disclaimers, and just before we jump into the magical world of mid-lengths for all the purists out there, I just want to say straight up, before you hear me list off a heap of boards that I have surfed over the last couple of years, I'm a very, very fortunate individual to work at boardshop.co.uk. That helps me get hold of quite a few boards to test and ride. The other factor, as Darren knows, one of the directors, who's the one who doesn't appear on YouTube, so it's not Ian, is a board whore, and he rides the same size
Oh,
boards.
yes, he is.
And he rides the same size boards as me. So as many boards as I've surfed that are mine or a demo are his. He shall remain anonymous for now. But before you think this kid's, this guy is surfing a lot of boards, what's going on kind of thing, is he minted? One, no, I'm very much not minted. Two, I am hugely lucky to work at boardshop.co.uk. But let's dive in to something that I think Darren is one of the most responsible people for, without knowing it, and that is the mid-length takeover. If it wasn't for Darren bugging us at boardshop.co.uk, I don't think we would have ever stocked the mid-length at the time we did, the magic board that Phipps put together, and that has then caused this landslide of mid-length boards. So I think, Daz, that you should probably explain a little bit about what you've been surfing lately, and what you've been surfing over the last couple of years in that mid-length range, and why, and maybe like who inspires you and how you try to surf them and stuff, and then I'll add myself into that mix as well.
Well, I think it kind of all began, Matt, many moons ago. Like, it's not a new thing. Like when I actually, like Matt will come clean, I managed a surfboard factory down here in the southwest of France for 14 years. And when I first started there, the mid-lengths back then existed, but they came under the name Minimal. Generally, they were a lot rounder up front than what they are now. But they were a dying breed. It was a full short. It was a shortboard era. We had Kelly going shorter and shorter, and the thing was that China had just hit the market. So China was coming in with Minimals that were 200 euros cheaper than anything we could make. But right at the start, and I used to say it in articles to kind of, or any interviews anyone made with me, or even the clients, to defend us, and it actually happened. I would say that, look, if some guy buys a Chinese Minimal at 400 euro and enjoys the sport, 2 years later when he's walking down the beach, he's embraced surfing and he's going to be embarrassed by the board he's got, and he's one of them want to join a brand. And that was kind of what we hoped would happen, and that's what did happen. And then, like Fipsy, he had this template up in his room, and he just kept saying, "Look, I want to make this board called the Snowshoe." Yeah, and that was like this light bulb went off, because when he made it, it wasn't a flat, long Minimal. It was this like big round nose that paddled really well, but it had heaps of curve, and we all had a go of it. And then English guy that lives down here, journalist, Paul Evans, commentator, he kept coming in and he got this 7.6 Phil Grace, and he was going to me, "Yeah, Dazza, Minimals are the future." And I said to Fipsy, "Man, you've got to make another one, but just make it a little bit more pointy up the front." And that's when he made the first one bad egg, which was originally a 711.
Yeah.
Now, this thing paddled like a Ferrari. Like, honestly, I'd never seen anything like it. For its size, it paddled faster than what it looked.
And that, am I right in saying that's the one where there's the clip of him surfing bells, massive bells?
That's a replica of it. There's
Yeah.
another clip somewhere that maybe disappeared, and he was surfing around here. It was originally a single fin, and when I surfed it a couple of times, and it just paddled so fast, and it kind of looked good. And I said to him, "Look, I reckon we should put quad fins in it." And he was, no, it's a single fin. You wanted something groovy. All the groovy kids have got single fins. And I was, yeah, but I think it'd go good as a quad, because I started thinking I'd like to surf at Lenore, which is our kind of smaller version of Sunset. And he was, no, don't do it. So I just waited for him to go to Australia for the winter. And as soon as he was gone, I put the quad setup in it. and it went insane. So then he came back the next year, and this must have been like 7 or 8 years ago, because like most new models, it takes like a couple of years for them to kick off. First, people look at them, then you need people to buy them, then you need people to buy them and like them, then you need them to like them and tell their friends, then you need to convince people like you to resell them. It's a long process, unless you got a ton of money and you just do what Channel do, like 6 years after the One Bad Egg come out, and say, oh, look, we've got the CI mid-length.
Yeah.
And boom, you sell a ton straight away.
Which is mad. And that completely ties into the fact as well with the timing of the One Bad Egg, which almost for the UK, and yes, people will listen to this 100%, there was mid-lengths out before, and mini mouse, people don't like that word. They've been around years and years, and like fashion, it goes round in circles. But this was a time when, like you say, Kelly and Tomo, the Evo was taking off, the Cymatic, the Omni, so all these chopped nose, round, like squash nose things were like, ride it as short as possible, blah, and every surfer's ego was, oh, I ride a 5.7, and then the person better rides a 5.6, and the person better rides a 5.5. So to then like kick off a mid-length, or to come into Europe's biggest surfboard seller and go, oh, you need to stock this mid-length. I'm sure you got almost like laughed at as such, but and then that's the thing, is get one under your feet, and there's no chance you're not going to have an amazing surf, and there's no chance that you're not going to want one, which is what happened with everybody.
Well, look, we've got down here, we have got some of the most amazing waves, but we've also got some of the most amazing rips. And I've seen guys with red faces come in and like they don't catch a wave, like literally not catch a wave in an hour and a half. And like, what's the point of surfing if you're not going to catch a wave? So honestly, who can really ride a shortboard well? A pro surfer, and guys under 15, because even if you're under 15, you're a young kid, you need something small anyway, and you've got unlimited energy, and then if you're a really good surfer, there's kind of nothing better than a good shortboard, or even really good surfers grow old, like Puff the Magic Dragon did.
And I 100 recently had the exact experience. I'm not blowing smoke up my own arse here, but me and 3 of the boys from Board Shop headed down to North Devon, and we rocked up. It wasn't great. It was 2 to 3 foot slow, and I had my Magic board, which we'll discuss a bit further, my album 6.8 album, and Rich, who I work with, and Silent Jack from the last episode. These guys they are good shortboarders, but they had, so Jack's mentor, and he was on like a 5.9, and Rich was on a 6.0, I think, but I doubled their wave count and doubled the wave length on a slow day. Who had a better surf? When Dane Reynolds is said it in the electric acid surfboard test that he done. There's no one on a beach with a speed camera seeing how fast you go, testing, like watching how many turns you do. The person who probably gets noticed the most is the person catching the most waves, and that's where, like you say, even in a shitty wave or a good wave, the length is magical.
The idea is to find that board that you can catch waves on and still do turns that you like doing.
Yeah.
Now, if you do 10 turns, one of those turns is going to end up being a really good one. And the more turns you do, the better they get, as
Yeah.
opposed to doing the one best turn you'll ever do on your shortboard, but only do one in a year. At one stage, quantity is going to beat quality.
That is money, and it's exactly the same with my own personal surfing. Since I've all winter I've been riding two boards. One's a 6'8" Fipsy, which is mad, so good, really shallow and quite short channels, and it's a 20. And the other is a 6'8" Album Townsend. It's asymmetrical, and I was like, I'm not going to notice how this asym kind of goes. I was like, I'm not good enough. Like the same with
that's what so many
and people say the same about
high
fins.
level surfers think. Oh, I'm not going to notice the difference. I was like, yes, you notice straight away.
Yeah, and that asym from Album is phenomenal. The 20 from Fipsy with that, it's like it's got an accelerator pedal. And my surfing on those two boards, I've seen photos of myself. I'm 6'3" and gangly, and I always think I look ugly. And on those two, because of my height and because of the rail line, I've actually got some half decent photos of myself. And that might sound vain, but if you think it's vain, sorry.
That's all right.
But
we can all be a bit vain.
But without photos, I've felt like I'm surfing better.
You don't have them up. You don't have them up in your toilet.
Nah. Just pictures
in your wife's car.
I've just got pictures of Fipsy everywhere because the guy's a god.
Tell him.
He knows. No, but I feel like without, like, the most important thing that I could stress to anyone is feel like you're surfing good. Even if you're surfing shitty, if you feel like you're surfing good, you will improve and you'll have more fun. And that's what mid-lengths bring to me. That's why mid-length Matt is a name I get called at work. And I still surf shortboards. I try to.
And they have their time and place, man. If you've got perfect waves, there's not a lot of wind, you don't have many people out, they're unreal. As soon as you've got average conditions, bad winds, and even then, there's just days that suit it and suit yourself, and there's days that don't.
Yeah, weirdly for England, I find I ride my shortboard in the worst way, in like the shorter periods, if it's a bit windy, and obviously if it's bigger. But I find if it's really clean and big or really clean and small, that's where I want to be on a mid-length, because if it's clean and big, I'm getting in early.
Yeah, because you get more flow and you get longer rides.
Longer rail line as well. And if it's clean and small, then you can just smoke turkeys, which is fun. So what's
I never smoked a turkey.
Always smoke turkeys, as the saying goes. That's a saying made famous by the board hoard director,
the turkey salesman.
No, yeah, the man who shall not be named, who's not Ian, not the YouTube guy,
Voldemort.
Yeah. So my Fipsy Crazy Bee, which is 6'10" and big, and he's got a couple, we call them the turkey smokers, which are the boards we take out when it's clean and small, and shortboarders sit on the inside of you and you can just smoke them.
There you go. They don't like that.
So what are you on?
This year, my favourite board that I surfed the most was a 6'9" One Bad Egg. It's kind of been modified with a little less width through the tail and a swallowtail as well, which I really like. Now, I can surf that from anything from 2 foot to 6 foot. If it's bigger than 6 foot here, you nearly, if I want to surf like the knot, you nearly sometimes need to go a bit shorter, because like it's 40. It's hard to duck dive if it's a straight bank. If it's a left where you got a rip and everything, it's no worries. But that and I've just got him to make me the exact board again in a 6'7", because I noticed a few times it was a little bit long just on this wave that I've been surfing a lot, which is kind of a hollow right.
Yeah.
If I'm on a long rip bowl left, it's no problem, because you can get the speed up, and that all started from, you said before, where it came about, the original 711 that he did, which was fantastic, and I surfed that for like 2 winters, primarily in 6 to 12 foot rights, and then I got him to make the same board but in 8.5, because I wanted it a bit longer. We need a bit more longer. We've got another wave down the coast here, which is really good, but it's really thick and it's really slow coming. Unless you've got a big board, you're not catching them. And that same board, I missed a couple of what I thought were like pretty incredible barrels out at Hossegor. So I got him to make me a 7.7. I've actually had like about 5 or 6 boards off that first original, which each time we modified, which is the other good thing of working with a shaper.
Yeah.
And so then this 7.7 I've had for like 6 years now, and that's probably the best board of my life. It's only set up as a quad swallowtail, and I can surf that in 2 to 10 foot.
Yeah.
It goes in everything. And the 6.9 that I've got now that I surf, it's the exact copy of the 7.7, but smaller.
Yeah. And having a board that you can surf in 2 foot to 10 foot, that for anyone out there who maybe has a huge, like, is always thinking about it, having that one board improves your surfing. Surfing the same 1 or 2 boards improves your surfing.
You just get so used to them, so confident on it.
Yeah, you get dialed in. That's the one thing I try to avoid. It sounds like such a first world problem, but I really try to not surf too many boards, especially like around new release season and stuff, because I actually done it the first time I came down to Hossegor to see you boys. There was a run of 10 days of surf in February, and I surfed 14 different boards in 10 days on different sessions.
And with booties on, which rattles you. Rattles me. New boards with booties.
And then you said to me, don't bring boards, come down, it'll be sweet. I got down to Hossegor and it was like March. So it was pretty big, especially for a UK guy. And I remember I paddled out on a 6.2 Gracie that you convinced me to take out and surfed terribly. And after that trip, I came back and was like, I gotta cull the surfing 20 different boards in 20 days type thing. And I feel like an absolute James Blunt for kind of having that problem. Because
it's exciting. It's exciting because I did it myself. This week I surfed like 5 different boards because I've got a few myself. So I went, Fitzy's in Australia, I went past and I saw his wife and I said, he said I could borrow one. I went down, I borrowed another one. I went to Bradley's house yesterday afternoon and I borrowed another one just because we've had kind of like a fun size run of swell, and I've got a good 6'4" sort of semi, not really a short broad, but kind of that I like a Bradley, but I can't surf them in with booties on, and I had a knee injury, which this happens to a lot of people as well. If you've had an injury, you come back, you want to take a bigger board that's simple and ease back into it so you can get your paddle strength up before you start surfing properly again.
Yeah.
Because there's no use trying to come back on your favourite board or whatever and re-injuring yourself.
No. And to combat that problem of surfing too many boards, what I've tried to do this year, again, sorry for sounding like someone who's very privileged, but I've decided to surf, if I get the opportunity to surf demos or to rob a board off of the unnamed director or my own, and when they all arrived, I've tried to keep them around the same length and around the same style. So this winter I've pretty much ranged from 6.6s to, well, it's actually 6.6 to 6.10 with 1.76 in there, which was a demo that was too big but was sick to surf. That was a Harley Ingleby mid-6, so it's again another channel bottom. Surfed it as a quad. Really fun on smaller days, but it was too big in bigger stuff. But so again, even if you are going to chop and change boards, I think if you're going to try not to do it by too drastic of size and style in a short period of time.
We are salesmen, but I used to say that I'm not anymore. I don't sell boards anymore.
You're no longer the devil.
But and this is true. I would say you should be buying at least one new board every year. It's crazy. Like I used to see the guys that come in, I'm a Tough Light. It's unreal. It lasts for 10 years. But how are you expected to get out of bed in winter at 3-4 degrees and keep the motivation when every time you're just going to surf the same old board? And you just buy and sell. Get a new board every year. Get the buzz. It's all about it.
The second-hand board market right now is mental as well. You can easily...
Of course. There's boards everywhere.
So I'll tell you what, what I've done this year is, like I say, I'm going to run for a few mid-lengths. I'm not going to go for them all because we haven't got 7 hours, but a couple that have been standouts for me that I don't own, and then a couple that I do. So firstly, there's 2 that are very influenced by Simon Jones's Morning of the Earth Fiji, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a twin with channel bottoms, but that's not a mid-length. It's well, he does make it as a mid-length, but actually sells it stock-wise generally at 6'2" or 5'11". So Axel Lorenz at Pukas, who's sick, shaped the board called the Lady Twin, and I surfed that 6'8". That's a banger in good but rolly waves. It gets you in like any mid-length. This paddles like a mad board, but you can really hold a long line, and the channels are really deep on that board, so it gives you a lot of hold. And there's a board that Alan Stokes has been surfing a lot in big winter conditions called the Flow Stick Pro from Form, which is actually a step up version of a more user-friendly mid-length / Mao. I'd call it mid-length. And those two are sick for bigger days. And then for smaller days, you want a flatter rockered board because they plane more. Something like the CI mid is very, very fun. And then
meaning more speed.
Yeah, more speed, more trim, more glide, and you can style it out like Devon Howard, or if you've seen the Mikey Hedbury videos on the CI mid, it is a really, really good board. And then Album do a model called the Darkness, which is very similar, a little bit more pinny, can handle a bit of a bigger wave, but that's a very fast, fun board. And then the two I own, like I said, one's a Fipsy. It's called a Not Quite Right. He does it as a swallowtail or a pin with channels, and that's what I've got. And then I've got the Album Townsend as an ASIM for a regular footer at 6'8". That is the fastest board I've ever surfed, but you can throw it about. At 6'8", it feels like you surf a 6'4", but paddles like a 7'4". It's magical. So that's what I've been on, and I surf those similar to you. Literally anything in England from 1 foot to as big as it will get here, I will paddle out on a mid-length if possible.
I would recommend for anyone that's listening to this who's interested in getting a mid-length is one, you can look online. Like, look, I've got in front of me here Channel Islands CI mid, the Paisel crisis. What's the Lost Smooth Operator? The all-time best ever mid-length in the world, the One Bad Egg. But all these boards, you can get them anywhere. But if I was someone and all over Europe, go to a local shaper and take it back, because then you can go in and see one. You don't, I mean, obviously not everyone's got access to it. If you're in a city, you can go online. You're not going to really lose, I don't think, with any of these, with the big major brands, because if you look at the templates, they're all reasonably similar. They've all been refined over the last 5 years, and they're all going to work. But if you can actually go and see someone, then you can kind of get that thing adjusted to you, because that's the other thing is we're not all the same shape.
No.
Like I'm 183 centimeters and 74 kgs, which me and you are actually quite similar in size. And then you're going to have some guy is listening and he's going to be 5'10" and 92 kgs. And it might be full of muscle. It might be full of pies. But so he's going to need maybe not as long and half an inch thick. And if you have to base yourself around what the actual standard size are, that's when you're going to have to play around a lot to try and get the volume you need.
100%. I completely agree. I would say to add to that, if you can't get to a local shaper, or if you don't have a local shaper, there are a lot of these boards around.
Get a car.
Well, get a car, or like speak to mates. Put an advert up on a group page, or email a surf shop, like email boardshop.co.uk, or email any surf shop if you're in Europe or wherever, and ask people, do they have one? Can you borrow one if they've got an older one? Like, do everything you can to test one, because it will, before you prejudge them on how they look and the write-ups of them, those write-ups, if you buy a Paisel, it's been designed in Hawaii, so that what they tell you about the board, they haven't come and surfed it in two foot width. So speak to people who know that the waves you're going to surf and how you want to surf it, and try and see if you can get one you can borrow off of someone locally. And like, just put something like try and like, I don't know, if you break it, sort it out. But that's a huge thing.
If you break it, you pay for it, mate. That's the rule.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, to be fair, if someone broke one of mine, I'd want.
You wouldn't make him pay.
No, I would. I would. But it would be.
So everyone just get on the phone to Matt. He's got plenty of points to lend you. You can break them.
I'll just lend everyone Rogers while he goes ski. Oh, I mentioned it while he goes skiing. But yeah. The other thing with that is that it does really pay to surf them. I completely agree with you, and also dig a bit deeper into what they've been designed for. Like look at where Devon Howard designed the CI mid, or he didn't design the CI mid, refine the CI mid in one of the most perfect mid-length waves. But if you take that same flat, no rocker board out, I think it would suck in Hossegor on the good days where you've got to take off late. And there's other mid-lengths that are designed for that.
Not even. If you're on a bigger wave and you've got a whole ton of speed and you want to go into a turn and the board's flat, it's just going to throw you off like a wild donkey, like a bucking bull.
But so I tell you what, while we're on the mid-length bandwagon as such, the other factor of it is that some of my favourite surfers now and for a while have been on mid-lengths. And I love watching them surf mid-lengths because of the lines they draw and how you can, you can almost relate more to it as well. Like think,
of course you can, because you think, hey, I paddle a board like that. I can catch a wave with my board.
Yeah.
There's a chance I can do that body movement.
Yeah. You got a couple of my favourite surfers on mid-lengths right now. Harrison Roach, I think, is next level. I think his best surfing is on a mid-length. I know he nearly won the world championship for the longboarding, but I think Harrison Roach is mad good on a mid-length.
He's like a Kai Lenny of approachable boards.
Yeah. And then I recently watched a little 3-minute clip with Alex Nost. I've not Mason Ho has a lot of fun. Nost. Mason Ho has a lot of fun on whatever he says, but the way that he's getting cheater fives and shuffling himself up and then shuffling back in the barrel and things like that, I'm like, that's what, to me, and everybody's different. There's shortboarders out there right now who think we're mental, and that's cool. And there's
but not all of them. But then, even saying that, when I watch Alex Nost, he makes me want to vomit. But that's just my personal opinion.
But that's what's amazing about surfing.
For me, I just find him way too frenetic and try hard body movements. But that's what he likes to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I mentioned him earlier, but Michael February surfing the CI mid looks, I mean, he makes any board look good, like far out. He's pretty naughty. Do you know what? It's funny because you're not back in.
So why is he riding those boards then? Because they're fun. Because if he can ride anything, why isn't he riding a 511 squash tail thruster?
Because he said it very recently on a stab thing. It's been the first year or first couple of years where he's actually been able to get on these I hate calling them progressive crafts. I think that's a terrible term.
Well, that's not the right term. They're alternative crafts.
Alternative craft, 100%. And I think he's never looked like he's had more fun.
User-friendly crafts, and there's nothing wrong with being user-friendly.
Of course, it's not. You don't.
Like, do people buy a hard-to-use computer?
Yeah.
That you need to have a fucking 6-year master's in information technology to use your computer? No. You want everyone wants the MacBook. Oh, the MacBook. I'll get the MacBook because it's so interactive. It's the same thing with a surfboard.
Absolutely. I often liken it to a few different sports. Golf's very similar. You don't go and buy a bladed set of irons if you're not good enough, because you won't hit the ball well. And when you go ice skating, they don't. If you rock up to the rink and you've never done it before, you don't get the lace ups with the razor sharp. You get a user friendly skate that's going to give you the best time, and that's what.
And do you drive to work in a Formula One race car?
Imagine it. You just spin around in circles.
Even though we'd like to, you go straight to the hospital.
Yeah, and I just want to say, there's one person out there that I don't like it when he surfs mid lengths, and that's Mr. Machado, Rob Machado. I don't like it. Doesn't sit
What
right.
don't you like about it?
He just doesn't surf as good, and I don't really understand. I don't. Well, it's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't watch it and think, far out, I want to go do that.
I'd rather watch him on one than ants in his pants nost.
That's why. And you know, I'm gonna say there's one person out there that, as much as anybody, I watch them surf and makes me want to go surf again, and that's Leah Dawson. She surfs. I think she's dating him, but it's Alex Lopez.
So she's like what, Vans? Is she too or not?
I think so. I think she's Vans, and I know that she surfs like single fins. A lot of Alex Lopez boards that she designs with him, I believe. But she surfed a Bonza in the Heritage Heat that the WSL done, and she just drops clips. I just really see her on Insta, and I'm like, yeah, you're cool. You're cool as fuck, and I'd love to drop into waves like that and have that much fun.
And Stephanie obviously can surf a mid-length sort of board with exceptional style.
Absolutely. She does everything stylish, doesn't she?
That's Princess Stephanie from Monaco we're talking about, folks.
Yeah, the Queen. Yeah. So, and almost like merging organically into it, that we was going to have a quick discussion about a surf film or series as such that we wanted to just have a quick discussion about, because
or even just the surfer.
Yeah, Mr. Torren Martin pretty much surfs mid-lengths. He does surf obviously a couple of short boards and stuff, but definitely on mid-lengths that Simon Jones makes him, that he surfs them very well, doesn't he?
You could say that he's a cultural icon.
Definitely a movement. He probably is responsible with Simon Jones for those channel bottom 20s having a real big place in the market right now and a real big demand, especially because I
think twins in general. I think he's had more influence on people riding twin fins than anyone since MR. Mark Richards.
Yeah. Anyone listening to this knows that, mate. But yeah, no, for sure, he's definitely hugely influenced that market. A lot of people want to surf like him on boards like him. I am one of those, guilty, and they look sick. And he makes some of those waves he surfs in Morocco are massive.
And he's still carving all over the shop. So here's an interesting one. I read in a Starb article not long ago that guys were saying, what was the article on whether it's still worthwhile to sponsor your local surfer. And I could go out on a limb and guess that it was perhaps Jake Patterson made a comment on local surf is not worth anything anymore. People don't care even about anyone because Kanoa's Igarashi's sponsored by, I don't know who it is. Okay, it's a French fashion brand.
Yeah.
Leo sponsored by Gucci. Yeah. This, that, and that. So that's his opinion, and obviously he's from a competitive background, and you could say that he's a jock, so you could look at that. And I'm now in a surf tourism industry, and a lot of my clients don't know anything about surfing competition or care, but they like surfing. So if they come to our house, they're going to look what their surf instructor's wearing, and he's going to have way more influence on them than a Kanoa Igarashi or Leo Fioraventi, who they don't even know or care exists, because they're really going to surfing because they want to go to the beach, they want to get a bit of sun, and when they go to have a surf, they want to catch a wave. So they're going to be a lot more influenced by someone that they can relate to. If you look at Torren, which I did before, and count down some of his views, we talked about John's video the other day on his Lost Atlantic series, which was insane, which is what we'll talk about. It's like 4 episodes. He's at 1.1 million views over the 4, and the one he did in New Zealand was 980,000 views. So obviously people enjoy watching it.
Yeah, and on a very similar note, I was going to drop this in earlier, that it's funny how whether someone has influence or sponsored or not, what would influence me more is knowing who's not being paid to surf those boards and what they surf. And if you actually look, so say for example, you take Lost, Matt Biolos, the board he surfs the most at the moment, whether he likes it or not, is his smooth operator. It's a mid-length. Britt Merrick is surfing the CI mid more than any others. He shapes them. He could surf whatever board he liked. They're not competitive surfers, so they surf for the fun of it. They're on their own mid-lengths. Fipsy, I know he surfs short boards because he's the underground goat, but he does surf mid-lengths as well. He's got his Crazy B. He
surfs more mid-lengths now than what he would surf.
Yeah.
Smaller boards.
Christian Bradley the other day.
He's 53.
Yeah, but Christian Bradley the other day, new board, mid-length. The shapers are the people who are surfing their mid-lengths, and they can choose. And most of them are very good surfers to a good standard, could definitely surf short boards and still do. But the majority of the time they're on a mid-length. And that to me has quite a lot of weight because, as I say, sometimes, like say, for example, if you are influenced by...
For example, Bradley has quite a lot of weight. That's why he needs a good mid-length.
And we know he's not going to listen to this because he hasn't got the patience to get this deep into an episode.
Yeah, but they've got jobs as well. That's the other thing. Like if we're watching a professional surfer, his job is surfing, so he's going to spend 7 or 8 hours in the water every day of the week, where we're going to spend 7 or 8 hours at work every day of the week. So if you're lucky, 1 hour a day or 1 hour every 3 days surfing is a little bit smaller in comparison.
And what would you take the option of? If you got an hour to go and surf, would you rather catch 3 waves on a short board or 10 waves on a mid-length?
Yes, there you go. That's the question you've got to ask yourself. And then the second question is who are you trying to make happy? The people that are watching you or yourself?
Yeah. And I do want to mention as well, there's a couple of, I just want to throw this out there just because I like to
throw it, Matt. Throw it
out there.
I'll get the gloves on.
There's a couple of young UK shapers who've shaped a couple of mid-lengths that have been very, very good. Theo Nolla, who is currently working for Album, so he's doing the hard yard, he's traveling the world, learning off of people. He shaped me a mid-length last year. I actually took it to a wave pool and it is mad. It's very, very good. And there's a guy, he works on the south coast here, hand shapes everything, doesn't even CNC it, and his brand is Alero. And I'm not getting paid to say this or anything like that. And he doesn't even get stocked at board shop. So hand shaped everything. If you check out Alero surfboards, he's the up and coming UK Album.
What's a hand shaped Alero go for?
Not as much as you'd think. I don't exactly know, but I reckon resin tint finish kind of thing about $650, which
cheap as.
And he shapes a good board. So like I say, nothing. We don't get paid to do any of this. And
considering that's $650, where people will want to say it's $650, that's a fair bit. They'll drop $650 on a weekend in the snow. When they get back, it's gone. Out of their $650, the guy's got to buy the blank, pay if he's getting a machine shape, pay the machine shape, pay for the glassing materials, pay at least £200 to get the board glassed, sanded, take all that stuff out. Tax, don't forget tax, so that we can all have COVID injections. He's not left with a whole lot.
No, especially on the scale that like Theo and the guy Alero is at, where they don't get the like to ship a board. They won't be on a contract. It will cost them a lot of money. They won't get really good prices on their blanks because they don't buy in bulk as much as. And so having a board at that price with the work that they put into it, honestly, I think is phenomenal. And they're just 2 UK shapers I like to back because I don't think they get as much exposure as they should. And hopefully maybe Stab listen to this or something and reach out to them or whatever.
And when you drive home and take that board out of your car and put it in your living room or your garage where you've got your man cave or whatever, it's going to give you infinitely more joy than any other object in the house.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're
inanimate object.
I don't know if you're a bit like me as well on this, but I like having one-off things. I like having boards that, like for example, the album that Matt Parker's just shaped me has a completely one-off resin tint. you couldn't replicate it. And
it makes you feel special.
Yeah. I mean,
who doesn't want to feel special?
My missus tries, but it's not quite a one-off surfboard.
But just not like your album.
Exactly. She's close, but if I had to pick between the two, it'd be a hard choice.
Well, there you go. Well, is the board waxed up or what?
Yeah, of course it's waxed up.
Well, there you go. That's ready to go.
Yeah, and again,
can you put a dress on it?
Don't need to. It's beautiful.
Just a naked surf.
All it needs is a good old little wax job, leash and some fins, and we're good to go. And she's definitely not going to listen this far in either, and so I can get away with it.
Well, if she is, she should check out all 4 episodes, even though I think there's 5. There's 4 of Torren Martin's Lost Atlantic. And hey, we're not working for Torren either.
Nah.
Christian Bradley, a friend of mine, Shaper, we've mentioned his name a few times. He's like, hey, but have you seen him surf? Because the graphic designer at his office has a pretty big crush on him because she rides mid-length boards. The guy is an exceptional human as well. He's the opposite to what a jock is. He seems to be sensitive. He's caring.
He's pretty beautiful.
He's tall. He could be a model. He surfs well. But the biggest thing is these adventures that are going on. It's just incredible. Just like it's freedom. That's it. They went through all of Europe. So if you're a European, there's a good chance you're going to see somewhere that you will go.
Yeah. Well, I know a couple of people that bumped into him in Scotland and surfed with him at Scotland and then had like drinks and stuff and chat with him next to his van afterwards.
How's that one section with the bagpipes where he surfs that right in, I don't know where it is. It looks like a Rivermouth port or something. It's just off the hook.
It's one of those ones where he surfs it amazingly, but I just know how cold that is. And I was just like, that must be double.
And I would have liked to have seen him ride a quad on that wave because he was kind of sliding out a little bit off in his calf. But see, there's the other thing where people get lost in the thing thinking, mid-length, that's just for cruising and this and that. But it's not. It's when you've got a lot of wind blowing up your face, a lot of offshore wind in Europe. You want a board that's going to at least get you down the wave.
Yeah, the better the wave, I think, get on a mid-length. Doug's having a dream behind me, nut job.
So I guess we can basically say tonight, mid-length 1, short board 0.
Yeah,
and there'll be other episodes where the short board will get its love.
Yeah, and we'll have some episodes on purely 20s. And
I'm going to, with that wonderful thought, Matt, I'm going to probably bid you a farewell.
Whoa!
I want to watch some of these.
Let's just quickly before Daz.
I've got a disaster mid-length story.
Right. Just so before that, quickly do's or don'ts.
Do's or don'ts.
Do's or don'ts. Mine, I'm going to go first. I'll make it quick. It relates back to what I said. If you've got a quiver, whether you're a shortboarder or a longboarder or whatever, like constantly review it. A bit like Darren said about buy one board a year. Look at it. Make sure there's not overlap. make sure if it's old, have the designs moved on. Speak to people about what's coming out. But review your quiver. I had 2.5 years ago, I had 5 510s. That's all I owned. And then I was like, what am I doing? And now I've got such a diverse quiver because I reviewed it. So like you would, I don't know, your wardrobe, if you're looking at your clothes and they're all you own is one color, one style. Same with your surfboards. I would recommend reviewing your quiver and diversifying your quiver. My don't has already been mentioned. My don't, if you ever are fortunate enough to, is don't surf too many boards in a short space of time. If you're going to chop and change your boards, narrow it down and stay comfortable on a smaller number. So that's my privileged do's and don'ts.
They're pretty good. I'm going to go with it. Do have a cold shower every morning. I picked up I'm like one of the Wim Hof groupies.
Yeah.
I didn't stick with his breathing because sometimes I can do it, but it's just not something that I can fit into every day, and I can try and breathe anyway. But that finishing the shower in the morning with freezing cold water, I tell you now, my body's waiting for it. Huh? It's an anticipation of shock, and I think it's so far I haven't got COVID, touch wood, and it's helped me with a few injuries that I had that I think I'm coming back quicker.
I like
and
it.
Don't brush your teeth with Nutella.
I reckon you've just changed so many people's lives.
There you go. So I've just remembered my disaster. Try and be brief. And this was a mid-length. This was an amazing. This is a Phil Gray 7.3 mini male that he shaped, and we brought out under ST Comp range. It was like an entry-level range for the Quicksilver shops. And we got them done at Cobra, like biggest surfboard factory in the world, like they do everything. And this was epoxy. So it was light as. And it just so happened that I got to test it after one Easter sale that we did, because we had all these boards on there, and we put a pad on it, and we padded a few of them up and waxed them, the old famous pad and wax, to say that they were used so that we wouldn't get in trouble by other retailers for undercutting them in price. And there was one left there, which I surfed. This thing was amazing, like really pulled in tail, nice hard rails through the back. It was light, you could throw it up, and I loved it. And when I left Euroglass, I kept that board, and I was up in Biscarrosse running a family camp for Pure Surf Camps in 2020. And my son, my 6-year-old son at the time, came and stayed with me for 5 weeks. So we're on the way back from the beach one day, and he was in love with the surf instructor. Ben was his hero. Ben this, Ben that, Ben this. And we get back to the walkway, and he's, I'm going with Ben first to put the boards in the shed. And I was like, okay, I'll wait for you at the bikes. Because there was a big hill, and we had to ride all the way back to the campground. It was a good 10-minute ride, so it was a 25-minute walk. And I'm waiting for him there at the bikes. I've unlocked the bikes. I put the board on the ground. I'm waiting for him 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I start stressing because there's people everywhere. So I run up the hill, and just as I run up the hill, he comes over the hill, and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, yeah, we're yelling at each other, and we get back down, and I get his stuff, and we get on the bike, and we go back to the camping ground. And the next morning, like, I wake up and I'm like, I wonder what the surf's doing, what board am I going to ride? And yeah, hey, did I remember to pick the Gracie up at the bikes? And of course I didn't. Left it there. Hundreds of bikes. I go back, and like, this has happened to me a few times over my life, and I've always got the board back. Didn't get the board back this time. I just hope it went to a good guy.
Is this Ben, English Ben?
Ben's story.
I think it's Ben's fault.
And the worst thing was as well, was there was a brand new set of Rasta 2+1 twin bamboo future fins set up in it.
Worth probably more than the board.
Don't forget your board at the bike rack. That's my other don't.
Yeah, don't do that. And that's a disaster. I am going to call him out. I know Ben actually listens, and I'm going to say that Ben owes you a Cobra-made epoxy board, and hit him up for it. I'm sure that Ben will be the lovely little human that he is. We'll give you a board. But yeah,
and if the godfather of surfing, the godfather of clandestino, the man who had a dead man's license picture for his real license for 30 years, Phil Grace, can get back to Europe this summer, I'll get him to make me a duplicate of the board that got nicked.
Yeah. Well, I like the disaster story. I like the idea of Ben owing you a board, and he's probably going to be sweating out from that.
Thanks, Ben.
Let's wrap it up. Just to say thanks again for everyone listening. Continue to download, continue to share. We are on Instagram at the Insiders Podcast with underscores in between the words. If you ever need us, please reach out, DM us on there. Find Daz, find myself, and if you need anything at all, please reach out to us. Tell us where we're doing good, where we're doing bad. I copped a bit of flack. I copped a bit of flack for the whiteboard, the white tail pad being a no-go kind of thing. Logan
Yeah,
Nicol.
because it was pretty stupid trying to map for the tour.
Logan Nicol went mad at me, but we'll see when he's got a dirty pad in a couple of months. And wait, next week I think we'll hopefully the swell looks good. That we'll probably do a pipeline, like pick through the pipeline, and then we'll have more purist episodes as well.
Have a good week, punters.
A biento.
Au revoir.